All right. Hey, good morning to you. It is Friday, and if you're in the South where I am, it's a little crispy cool this morning. Now I realize for those of you who are true winter freaks, that's probably the 40s or so, but it's 60s. It's in the 60s. For an old beach bum like me, that's cold, and man, it feels good though. It is. I'm excited about fall. I'm not usually, but I am this year. Maybe I'm just getting old. I don't know, but I'm looking forward to some crisp air and the need of a fire pit and just to sit around it. And so, man, I'm excited about all that's going on. Man, last night Tammy and I went up over to Springville and a little town next to us, and they on Thursday nights a little town kind of comes alive. They have a karaoke night in the town square kind of thing, and not really a town square, but it's like that. It's an outdoor area with a gazebo, and several restaurants kind of dot that area. And then Nichols Nook opens up, the coffee shop. They open up every Thursday night. And, man, it has gotten to be, I guess because it's exclusive, they're only open one night, it is slammed. I mean, it's a little bitty coffee shop with a great little garden area out back, and it's just packed. And the owners there are just amazing people, great hospitality, the gift of it, solid Christ followers. It's just a fun place to go. And last night, we used to have a thing we call Juke Joint at Restoration every Monday night. We would pack literally the front part of our little, what we call a coffee shop at the church. We would pack that thing out. There'd be 50, 60 people in there, most of them retirement age and above, and we had what we called the Blackjack Boys, and Frank, one of our elders, great guitarist, professional. We called it Frank and the Blackjack Boys. Well, the Blackjack Boys are still there, and they are now called Highway 11 South Band or something. Anyway, it's a hodgepodge of people from Trussville. Yeah, what a great night last night, though. They played at Nichols Nook, and so we just sat out there and enjoyed, and man, it's good. Then they're there a good bit, but if you're in the area, man, Nichols Nook's a great place just to go and hang out and connect. So we had a great night. Looking forward to the day and what's going on with this, and so more than anything, man, I am looking forward to just opening up the Word right now. This is, man, the Book of Romans has been so rich and so good, and to drill down into the original language here and just see the depth of what of practicality that Paul calls us to. It's pretty amazing. So anyway, let's just jump into it. I've titled this one "Elite Servants for Jesus," and it's what the text screams for. And so we are slow rolling through this section. Real quickly, let me remind you. After all the mercies that God has shown us, the compassion that He's shown us, out of the midst of the depravity of our sin, He finds a way to move us out of the way of His wrath that is coming because He is fully just. And so it's not as though He could just say, well, I just forgive everybody. His justice, His holy justice demands that He can't skirt that issue. If you do wrong, there's a payment for it. It just is, because it's just and it's holy. But yet, because of His great love for us, He finds a way to prevent that justice from coming on others by having Christ come as a sacrifice to take the punishment of our unjust activity. And so in light of the fact that Christ has done that, Paul says in Romans chapter 12, and then I urge you, brothers and sisters, that you present your bodies a living and holy sacrifice to Him. It's your reasonable service of worship. If the Lord has stepped in and taken the bullet for us, so to speak, and freed us from that punishment, then we ought to give Him our life. And so that's what he says. And then he says, stop taking your cue from the world. It is the reason why we're in the mess that we're in. Don't let it squeeze you into its mold. Be saturated. Let your mind be renewed with the truth of what you now know. And let's get after it. And so then he begins to move into this context of of how we ought to serve. And so he says love must be free from hypocrisy, and we looked at that. Detest what is evil, cling to what is good. Those are three things that we talked about when it comes into the area of love. We have to keep this love tank, right? The Spirit of God, the love of God, has been shed abroad within our hearts through the Holy Spirit whom he's given to us, so that we truly are love machines. And we are overflowing with that. God's love flowing into us, we become a channel, a vehicle, a vessel for his honor and for his love, just to flow to the world. We are that conduit now, a holy conduit, love from heaven flowing in us to the world. It is how the world sees and hears and experiences God this day. It's your job and it's my job. So we have to keep our love tank pure, right? I have to detest what is evil. If there's evil, I've just got to shed it off, right? I've got to put off that old man. I can't allow the world to corrupt me. I've just got to constantly be pushing back evil. And when I find something good, man, I'm going to start putting it into my arsenal. I'm going to cling to that which is good, and I'm going to start doing those good things. And now we come here in light of all of that conversation. Now we're in a context. Now we understand these next three phrases. Be devoted to, or then actually it's the next one. Be devoted to one another in brotherly love, right? So now, hey, we need an army. We need to circle the wagon, so to speak, and we need to make sure that we're loving each other, that we're giving preference to one another in honor, that there's a good and healthy environment of this love machine that God has built in us. And so together we turn our chairs in on occasion and we devote ourselves to brotherly love, to loving each other. And we give preference to one another in honor. There's no kind of positioning and strategizing to become the leader. There's none of that. Not in the kingdom. I mean, you see it, but it shouldn't be. It should be that we're all giving preference to one another, that it is this group of people that is always trying to lift the other person up, knowing that a rising tide lifts all boats, right? And so this is kind of what's going on. This is what we're to be about. And so then he says, verse 11, not lagging behind in diligence, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord. So now let's just break those things down, because man, there's a lot to unpack there, and not lagging behind in diligence can be a little confusing. What does that mean? And so let's just kind of break that down. There's two Greek words there, diligent and lagging, and basically he's saying hurry in your work, right? It's a hurry. It's a don't be lazy. Let's just get after it, right? Not lagging behind in diligence. Let's hurry, and let's be diligent in our hurrying, right? And so this is what the flavor of this text is saying. And so let's kind of think through what that means, right? Don't be lazy in the Lord's work of love. And I think love is the context of that. And so what he's saying is, hey, listen, we need to get after this thing. We're taking the love now to the world. And so you and I need to hurry with that. We need to be in haste about that. We need to be diligent to get to the work that God called us to. And so what's he saying? Don't grow weary in well-doing, right? He says that in other passages. This is a similar thing phrased in that way. You and I wake up, crank that engine, man. Love machines, we're ready to go. We don't have time to be bitter. We don't have time to be selfish. We don't have time to be any of those things. We don't have time to worry. We don't have time to be fretful. We don't have time to get mad. We just got to get after it. We got work to do. And so this is the flavor of what he's saying. Not lagging, but hurrying, right? We're not like, you have those people, morning people, and then you have those that aren't morning people, right? And sometimes us morning people annoy those people that aren't morning people. And, and so it's like, can I drink my coffee first? Can I just sit here? And Lord's saying, no, we can't. We got to go. And so it's not like we just ease into this Christian thing. We just kind of, cozy up to our little cup of worship and we massage it and we enjoy it. It's like, hey, there's a place for that. Let's get the coffee down. But let's make sure that we get after it, that we don't put off the day, so to speak. And so this is what he's saying. It's the same thing that he told the Ephesian church. Let's redeem the time, for the days are evil. Listen, this whole thing is collapsing in on itself. We're on the Titanic. It's sinking. Let's get after getting people off the boat. And so this is what he's speaking of. Man, it's hard not to think about the church. And it seems like we spend a great deal of time sitting instead of serving. My first pastor, Reverend Bill Prince, used to say that the problem with church is we sit, soak, and sour, right? We sit in pews, we soak up truth, but we never do anything with it, and so we just sour. And I think, man, that's a great picture of what the church can be about, right? We can gather, we'll worship, we'll listen to a sermon, as long as it's interesting and entertaining and all of that and make me feel good about myself. We'll do all of that. But the idea of like, hey, going and getting your hands dirty, it's like, I don't know about all that, right? And here's what he's saying. Hey, let's get after it, right? Serving isn't relegated to the four walls of a building, though, and that's what a church wants to do. When they gather, it's like, hey, we want you to serve within the four walls. And we want you to serve out there when we tell you how to do it. We put you in a group and we all pick a day and we all go do it. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not enough. It should be that it is the habit of our life that we do these things. And so this is motivating to us, right? Hey, I'm alive and I'm going to enjoy my coffee while I'm teaching you. But hey, we got to get after it. There's a world out there that needs to experience the love of Christ. And so when I go out in it, I have to be looking for that. Every time we walk into a coffee shop, every time we walk into a store, every time we look at a coworker, every time we look at a client, every time we do whatever we do, we see someone that needs to be fervently loved, that I need to be quick about it. I need to make sure, right? This is how we enter a room. We enter a room like that. I'm not saying I do. I'm saying that we should. This is what he's calling us to do. Let's hurry. Let's hurry to get to work. Let's get there. And then he says, fervent in spirit, right? So not lagging behind in diligence, fervent in spirit. That word fervent, it's the same word he says, where let your love be fervent one to another, Peter says. It's a term that means you keep your body stretched and limber. You know, you got a baseball player, he'll blow his arm out if he doesn't keep that thing stretched, right? And so that's why they have the bullpen. That's why they're always warming up those arms. That's why they wear a jacket sometimes. You got to keep all that warm and fervent, boiling over, so to speak. Keep it hot. That's what it means. So you and me are to keep our love hot for each other. We should always keep it stretched. Always keep it warm. Never let it grow stale. Where then I'm gonna try and love you, but I'm gonna blow my arm out in the process. Right? It should be that it's just flowing from us. We're ready. We have prepared and we are ready. Our love is like we're on go. Right? And so this is what he speaks of: fervent in spirit, boiling over. Man, it's like an engine without a governor. Now, a governor's not one who controls the city in that sense. A governor's what regulates the power of that engine. It's powerful, but we throttle it back a little bit so you can't get all the power out of it. This is what he's saying. Hey, be fervent. Let's get rid of that governor. Be fervent. Let that love be hot. Don't let anything restrain you from revving that engine and keep going. Right? It's like having spiritual hyperactivity. Right? You know, you've seen that kid that bounces in the room and it's like, man, do you ever sleep? You're just always, it's like that little puppy dog, man, that just is always going to happy to see you and is just jumping up and down. I almost think that's exactly how you and me should be as Christ followers, man. Just giddy, just hyper in a spiritual way, just to find somebody to love and somebody to do something with. And I think it's just a powerful concept that you and me should take a hold of. And so this is what he's saying. Fervent in spirit means, man, I am ready to go. I am loose. I have stretched. I am ready. I'm ready for the game. I got my cleats on. Let's rock and roll, right? This is how you and me enter into ministry. And then he gives us the context of what we do that in, right? So we're not lagging behind in diligence. That is, we're getting after. We're not growing weary in well-doing. We know what's coming. I'm fervent in spirit. I'm stretched. I'm ready. I mean, all my muscles are rocked and ready to go, and there's nothing to hold me back. I've got all the energy necessary. I've got no distractions here. It's game on. I am focused. And he says, what are we doing? Serving the Lord, right? That's the deal. That's where it comes into serving the Lord. Why? Well, because we presented our bodies a living and holy sacrifice to Him. Now, I don't want to present a body that's all wasted and tired and distracted and everything else. This that I'm going to give to the Lord, let's run to that service. Let's get to the front of the line to go, hey, here am I. Choose me, right? This is who we are. And we're fervent. I'm ready, Lord. I'm ready. I got my cleats on, man. I'm all warmed up. I'm ready to go. Every day, this is how we present ourselves to the Lord. Our spirit is passionate about getting after serving the Lord, right? It should be like, come on, let's get after it. Let's open up that door. Let's get out of here, right? Now, I realize sometimes serving the Lord is in the sense of worshiping Him and studying His Word so that we know Him better in that intimate moments of time. But there's also this time for work, and this is what He's speaking of. Quick volunteers, right? Running to the battle, setting a healthy pace and serving the Lord, right? I love it. When I get on a job site and I've got a crew and I can put a new guy in there, or you see a guy that's seasoned and they're just getting after it, man, it ups everybody's game. They're like, hey, we better get after it, right? And this is who we are, man. We're leading the pack. I'm a quick volunteer, man. I'm an elite servant of the King of Kings, and so I'm ready. And I'm going to take as many people that want to go, but we're taking that hill. Just like old Caleb, right? Hey, man, I'm young and I'm an old in that sense. I still have the same vigor. It was 40 years ago when I saw the fruit on that mountain. And I wandered around this desert because of people with a lack of faith. But in 80, I've got as much strength as I did at 40. And I'm saying, let me have my mountain, right? And this is kind of how we bring this stuff up, right? Quick volunteers. Serving the Lord by loving well. It's a 24/7 passion that we bring, and so this is we just got to see this. I got two more. We're gonna knock down. He says after serving in that sense of serving the Lord, what more attitudes do we bring? I'm rejoicing in hope, right? Hope is always tied to the end game. I'm rejoicing in hope. Right? For someone working hard, they're rejoicing in a paycheck at the end of that day, right? Or for someone on the sports field, they're waiting for that clock to kick down and know that they have won the day, that they've crossed the goal line, that they've made the deal, they sank the putt, whatever you want to call it, but that there's a finish line. They're rejoicing in hope. What is it motivates us to do this? The days are short, man. The Lord's coming back. I know I won't be living like this all the time. I'm going to do it now. I'm going to drag as many people as I can onto the boat, the lifeboat, and get us out of here. But our destination isn't this life. I'm hoping, I'm rejoicing in the fact that I won't be serving like this forever. I will at one point then be able to rest and just enjoy the fruit of that labor, being in the kingdom of God with brothers and sisters in there at the table with the King of Kings as head. So this is what he means when he says rejoice in hope, man. Listen, you can get discouraged if you don't think you're going to get a paycheck at the end of something. You get discouraged if you don't think you're going to win the game at the end of the deal. And this is the whole deal. We have certainty. This is why we have no worries. And then he says this, hey, it doesn't matter how hard it gets either. We're going to persevere in tribulation. I'm going to improvise. I'm going to overcome, just like a good military soldier, right? I'm going to endure the pain. I'm going to work through it. Hey, I'm a runner, and I just, my Achilles just sprang or whatever, and I've messed a hamstring up. You know what though? I'm gonna finish the race. I'm gonna keep doing it. I'm gonna persevere through whatever. You can't stop me from getting up and getting to work. Right? This is just the way it is. And man, I got to thinking about for some reason. When the roll is called up yonder, there was one line in it, right? Let us labor for the master from the dawn to setting sun, right? Let me just read that. It's a powerful little hymn, and it was kind of like that. This was written by a guy named James Milton Black in 1800s, and he had a Sunday school class. He was a composer. He was a writer, but he had a Sunday school class of children. And there was one of them that had pneumonia, and he would call the roll, and he'd call the roll. They weren't there, and it just saddened him, and he would go and check on them and all of that. And in the midst of just thinking about that roll call, remember how you used to do that when you're in Sunday school or whatever, here, right? That the same thing. And this is what he's saying. Hey, there's going to be a big one day. And so he says this: when the trumpet of the Lord shall sound, and time shall be no more, and the morning breaks eternal, bright and fair. When the saved of earth shall gather over on the other shore, and the roll is called up yonder, I'm there, right? This is what motivates us. This is why we're not letting we're not letting persecution or anything keep us from that. Oh, that bright and cloudless morning when the dead in Christ shall rise, and the glory of his resurrection share, when his chosen ones shall gather to their home beyond the sky, and the roll is called up yonder, I will be there. This is the phrase, though, that I got to. Let us labor for the Master from the dawn till setting sun. Let us talk of all his wondrous love and care. Then when all of life is over and our work on earth is done and the roll is called up yonder, I'll be there. Right? Man, that is so good. Now, let's don't grow weary and well doing. Hey, God's prepared an assignment for you, right? The good works that he prepared beforehand that you should walk in. Let's get after him today. Man, Lord bless you guys. I can't wait to see you Monday. And until then, have a great weekend.